Why is it that the United States, a global superpower with unmatched military reach, chooses caution when it comes to China? It's a question that puzzles many. Washington has waged wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond. Yet when faced with China, the response is careful, calculated, and restrained. Today, we unpack the layers behind that restraint, from a pivotal confrontation in 2016 to the powerful military, economic, and technological deterrence that define the relationship between these two giants. In July of 2016, the skies above the South China Sea darkened with tension. As the world awaited the verdict of an international court ruling against China's territorial claims, 2 U.S. aircraft carriers steamed toward the contested waters. It was a bold gesture, a familiar show of strength. But Beijing didn't flinch. Instead, China mobilized its full arsenal, warships from 3 naval fleets, nuclear submarines silently slipping out of port, and anti-ship ballistic missiles moving into launch positions. The Type 094 submarines, carrying JL-2 nuclear missiles, were spotted heading into deeper waters. Dongfeng missiles were locked and ready. Then, the unexpected happened. The U.S. carriers turned around. This wasn't a retreat born of fear, but of calculus. Washington understood that pushing further might ignite a conflict too volatile, too costly, even for a superpower. At the time, China's navy was still developing. Its total tonnage was less than half of America's. But the 2016 standoff became a wake-up call, a launch pad for rapid modernization. Fast forward to 2024, and the picture looks very different. China has fielded over 40 modern destroyers, deployed stealth drones via electromagnetic catapults, and brought its most advanced aircraft carriers into operation. The DF-26 missile, nicknamed the Guan Killer, now stands as a cornerstone of Beijing's deterrence strategy, capable of striking thousands of kilometers away at speeds few systems can intercept. Unmanned submarines like the HSU-001 have redefined undersea warfare, laying deadly minefields across vast areas with high precision. Simulations suggest U.S. submarines operating near China's coast face a 73% chance of detection. Simply put, China now has the tools to seriously damage any force that dares to come close. But deterrence isn't only built on firepower. It's also embedded in economic interdependence. The U.S. national debt now exceeds $36 trillion. Over $2 billion in interest is paid daily. And while China has trimmed its holdings of U.S. bonds, it still retains critical leverage, not least through its control of rare earth materials. These rare elements are essential to America's most advanced military hardware. An F-35 fighter jet requires over 400 kilograms of rare earths, and China controls more than 90% of the world's production capacity. In 2023, a temporary Chinese export restriction caused Lockheed Martin to halt F-35 production for 2 weeks. The pharmaceutical industry is no less vulnerable. An astonishing 97% of antibiotic precursors in the U.S. originate from China. If those supplies were disrupted in wartime, American soldiers could find themselves relying on outdated treatments. And now, the dollar's supremacy is under pressure. In 2024, 47 countries began using local currency settlements in trade, and China's new development bank issued its first RMB-denominated bond. The threat to the dollar isn't imminent, but it's real. Perhaps the most underappreciated shift is in technology. In late 2023, China's Zhejiang 3 quantum computer achieved a milestone, processing power 100 million times faster than the fastest supercomputers. This gives Beijing a head start in cryptography, logistics, and even artificial intelligence-driven warfare. China's 6G terahertz communication tests achieved speeds of over 1 terabit per second. That's 50 times faster than what U.S. Starlink satellites can provide, with far less latency. In the skies, the PL-17 missile, mounted on J-20 stealth fighters, can engage enemy aircraft before they even fire. And breakthroughs in electromagnetic railguns and nuclear fusion show that the technological generation gap once favoring America may now be narrowing, or even reversing. In 2024, the U.S. Naval War College ran a detailed simulation of a Taiwan Strait conflict. The outcome was stark. Without nuclear escalation, American carrier groups could not survive more than 72 hours. China's inland production infrastructure remained intact enough to preserve over 80% of its military output. This was not a war that could be won quickly, or cheaply. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger once warned that China's rise wouldn't be slow or steady. It would be explosive. That explosion, it seems, is well underway. So, why does the US hesitate to fight China? Because it's no longer a battle of tanks and troops, but of systems, economies, and survival. China has built deterrence not just with missiles, but with microchips. Not just through warships, but through wealth and innovation. The South China Sea standoff of 2016 wasn't just a strategic moment, it was a signpost marking the start of a new global order. And as the Pentagon itself now admits, no country can win a war within 2,000 kilometers of China's coast. That isn't speculation. It's the reality of 21st century power. So, when flames erupt from a Dongfeng missile and cut through the sky over the Pacific, Washington's leaders are reminded, peace is not weakness. It is wisdom.